Welcome, Fintech fans. It's your host, Andrew Carpenter, and welcome to another episode of Fintech What the Heck? The podcast for financial professionals, everything fintech, and the future of data. Today, I will be interviewing founder and CEO of B9, Sergio Terentev, along with Intrinio's client relations and engagement specialist, Lauren Mangine. I will also talk about phishing scams. My guest today is Sergio Terentev. He's the founder of B9, and that's B-N-I-N-E, B9.com. And welcome to the show, Sergey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you came to found B9?
Right. Okay. Well, it's. I think it started long, like maybe about 15 years ago when I first ran into the project in the fintech space. That was the payment service provider as a global one. So it's called Kiwi. So we brought it after that to NASDAQ in 2013. So it's a publicly listed company. So it allows you to make various sorts of payments elsewhere in cash or card. So that was pretty cool thing, a long time ago. So many things changed after that. So yeah,
Sure.
I was in the fintech space since that. Also working with some, it's everything from the payment solution to the consumer finance. So most recently, that was I was working with some major European global fintech companies in the consumer finance space, basically all around the world. So living, recent 20 years out of the suitcase. So from Jakarta to São Paulo, and also and working on the U.S. market as well during the last couple of maybe 3 years.
And why did you decide to found B9? Like, what was the gap? What's the problem that you're looking to solve there?
Yeah, there was. We were in the consumer space sector, so you would see a lot of people underbanked, so underserved. There are different names how you call it. So, but a lot of people, and especially on the U.S. market. So we've been working for a European company doing consumer finance, and we built quite a it was relatively big, portfolio of loans mostly, and we've been servicing like near prime segment mostly. So it was like in those who don't have like a full credit solution with banking institution in the U.S. So we were doing the project inside that company. So the team and myself, we just due to bureaucracy and everything, so we were not just able to launch it, to do it like inside. So we just quit the job, and because we think it's a great thing to do, and we started on our own. So about a year ago, and launched in August now. So in August of last year.
Yeah, there's nothing like having autonomy and being able to direct the vision the way it needs to go. Talk to me a little bit about what makes B9 different. Like, why would this be an easier solution for someone who's unbanked than some of the things that are out there already?
Well, it's if you look at an individual who has a relatively steady income. So normally in our the person who is paid by hours. So it may experience some spikes and dips in income from month to month, depending on the hours he or she worked. And so sometimes, that person experienced some gaps, some liquidity issues, like to pay certain bills, or something happens during that period of time. And because of the income spikes and dips, sometimes they experience, a need for extra cash. Banks
Sure.
normally do not provide a credit card. The normal, obvious solution would be like, I have a credit card I can use, or I can get money from that bank. But banks do not offer that product to to these particular demographics I'm talking. So B9 offers you like a full suite banking solution, bank account, a card, and then a possibility to advance your next paycheck much earlier, right? So in a sense, it resembles a little bit how maybe a credit card mechanics would work, but I mean, it's totally different. But so you always have an understanding that you can go and get some extra cash before your next payday, your next paycheck, and the only thing you need to do is to deposit, to do a direct deposit to move basically your salary to your B9 account and benefit from and we don't charge any fees or any interest for that early access to your wage.
Right. It makes a lot of sense for folks who don't have access to credit, don't have a credit card, and maybe historically they've gone to like a payday lender, and there's I think a lot of news about why that's can be predatory, and you have these huge fees. I'm on your site. I can see there is no added fee to have this as a resource. Do you see people taking advantage of it? Do you think it is helping folks who don't have any other option and they need something to bridge that gap?
Absolutely. We just we see a spike in terms of like the new accounts and people using it. So we see great retention, people who start using it, so they continue to do it. Actually, they move higher paychecks to their B9 account because they understand the value of it. And with all the nice features that we're bringing all together and planning to bring, I think, the customers like it, what they get. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like the regulatory hurdles that you face to get this set up? Because I see you've got FDIC insurance. It's a bank account. It's the same as any other account that someone might open anywhere. But my gosh, I can't even imagine the hoops you've had to jump through to set something like that up. Has that been one of the bigger challenges? Is compliance and regulatory issues?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a bank license sponsor on our back, so which provides all the everything which happens on the backstage and regulatory wise and license wise. That happens there. So we use a bank license and a partnership with the bank to help. And actually, all the accounts are being opened by that banking institution, which is FDIC insured. And so that's the way how we can provide all these benefits, regulatory benefits and protections to the customers. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure having that institutional strength behind you can provide a lot of confidence to your users that this is a safe and good place to be taking advantage of the service. And it probably allows you to focus more on the technology and the services rather than the back end regulatory hurdles, so that you can keep innovating. Is that kind of how it's worked for you?
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. That's exactly how it works. So we get support from our banking partner in terms of the, as I said, from the regulatory and compliance standpoint, although we have our own compliance as well. So it's a part of the requirement for the partnership. And of course, we we deal with customers. So we have our support. So we need to have the compliance function in place and functioning, properly. Absolutely.
Why do you think that there was this gap in the market? Why don't traditional banks fill this? Is it a lack of financial incentive, or are they just not aware of the problem?
No, they're perfectly aware. I think it's a perception of risk. So they and that's the demographics in that particular segment. So is misunderstood, or banks prefer to deal with something which is clear from the risk standpoint also, and there is a part of as a regulator may probably discuss with the banks during the audits about the perception of risk and why why to take it. So I mean, there is a huge gap on the market, and as you see lots of not lots of, but I mean many fintechs are trying to fill it in different particular segments. So you see Chime, for example, dealing with subprime. You see, other names who can probably have about 10 or 15 different different companies trying to solve in very the same issue in very particular niches, which is good about this because we don't feel competing with the banks, which is great, for business. So and in this sense, we're more competing with guys like loan sharks or payday lenders.
Sure.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, loan shark, and they're a predator, and I think that is someone who needs some competition. I think that's a great thing. Yeah. So you're helping provide a source of credit or an option, a choice to someone who might not otherwise have any options, or they have to go with some very high interest rate short-term loan as the alternative. Where do they go next? I mean, how do you help more? What else can you do? What are you going to add to the solution? Where are you going with it? What's the goal?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the person, about probably 30% of our customers, so they are interested, based on our surveys, to either fix or build their credit history, like their credit. So we're developing the product which would help them as a credit builder. To do that, that would include like a credit card for particular, for certain segments, so that we basically can level them up, just to bring, and just to help them go through this, entire process. So, and to build a better credit, to get any other sorts of, financing that we can find on the market as a marketplace and offer to you from other players. So we're not in the business of balance sheet lending, of course. So we're more like as a payroll solution rather than a financial company in this sense. So, but we provide technology so we can find certain segments. We can show that segment to the market through the marketplace, and they can, with our score, with everything they've done, so they can find the product on the much cheaper rates. Finance their car, I don't know, mortgage in the future. So, and so that's, so then we can definitely help our customers to get there.
Right. Because, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, having an ability to get in advance without paying a big fee is great. But I don't think that people want to stay in that category. Right? They want to build more traditional lines of credit, go pay for college, a house, a car, whatever it may be. Yeah, and it's just like you need a place to start, something to help you through as you work. And I imagine you've got a good insight into the what these folks are trying to do, because you can see that history of work. You can see the paychecks coming in.
Absolutely, I can. The data which users provide us with, that includes how much they make, for how long you work, how much you deposit with, on your B9 account, how do you take, advance pay, how you repay it. Of course, that data is absolutely valuable. And we don't go to the credit bureaus, so we don't ask the credit bureaus about your everything. What we need is understanding how steady is your income for what period of time, and what is your transactional data with B9, not with some other banking institution, but with B9. So we can improve our algorithms, so we can improve, build the score, and I'm
looking at your website. I can see you got all these different benefits. You got everyday banking, no credit checks, no minimum, no overdraft fees, which I get from traditional banks still. It's kind of surprising that still exists, but I suppose that for your audience, that's an even harder thing to take, an overdraft fee. But it looks super easy to set up. You need a social security number, ITN, and you're going to end up with looks like a B9 Visa card, the ability to get advances. And it's just because you're willing to trust people a little bit and to give them a chance and let them start building up. Right? Is that the whole idea?
Yeah, totally. The only thing is we are asking is to move the salary, whatever part of it you want to move, and start building your history.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It makes sense to me. And where do you think this industry is heading? I can see you mentioned there are people creating new solutions. There are fintechs like yourself that are out there innovating and helping to improve services to a broader segment of the world. Like, where do you think we're going to be in 5 to 10 years? Do you think that trend will continue and there'll be more solutions?
Totally. I think what we see right now is just the rise of many. So I mean, I wouldn't see there are more and more institutions like fintechs are trying to. They're not trying to replicate the current existing banks. They're just trying to build a sort of different banks, right? I mean, or maybe they will not be called banks, but I mean the different banking solutions or financial solutions for the customer. And I think if you look, you're looking at the neobanks around the globe. So we're talking about maybe 300, 400. So then we're looking in the US alone. So you will see like 10,000 of licensed financial institutions from credit unions to big banks, right? So I mean, it's really we're at the very, very beginning of this journey. So I mean, it's some people say it's crowded. I would say it's not even close, right? I mean, and eventually, I think that the fintechs would succeed those who provide like a more comprehensive, like a more solution for the customers. So, I mean, not just transactional, but like more holistic approach. Whether they do the balance sheet lending themselves or they work as a marketplace, see themselves as a marketplace more. So you would need to be like to provide a holistic solution. So that's my vision in terms of the so that should be like everything, cards and transactional and everything. So
it's a good vision, and I like that where you're starting with it. You're starting at the beginning with someone whose credit isn't as strong, but I can already see the services starting to pile up on your website. And I'm hearing from you, the vision is that you could take someone from, and no matter where they are, if they're millionaire or they're just getting started, first job, and you would be able to provide them all the services they need, start to finish.
Totally. And we like our customers are, the majority of them are between 18 to 35. So we are, with their, peak earnings ahead. So which we absolutely like. So we can grow with them. So as they grow, and I think, to be able to support them. A lot of them are just, it's not, I think it's a near prime segment is a little bit misunderstood. So we're not talking just about like some, bad credits. We're talking about like new to credit totally. Those do not have like any history yet. So, but they get income. So they work at DoorDash, or they're a part-time student, or there's a guy who's a person who is new to America, or it's a very broad spectrum. It's a very big segment as we see it.
Yeah, it makes sense that your audience would skew a little younger if a significant portion of them are just, they haven't been in the game. They're just getting started. That sounds familiar. I remember being in college myself and having a debit card, but I didn't get credit until I was, a little older. This is a very relatable way to help folks get started. Well, if people want to get started with your platform, the website's b9.com. It's spelled out BNINE. What should they do if they want to check you out? Is there an app they can download? Can they sign up online?
They can go either to find like B and then 9 on the App Store or Google Play. So they can also use the website just to a link to those stores. And to download it, go through a very easy onboarding process. Everything will take a few minutes. You would instantly get the virtual card and the bank account. You can order your physical card, which will send to your home address. So within the app, You can switch your paycheck instantly, so that takes seconds. So you don't need to do anything else. So everything happens within the B9 application. So next time next paycheck, which is credited to your B9 account, you will instantly provide you with the with an advance limit, which you can. It's an optional service, so you can use it, you cannot use it. So it depends on you. You can, yeah. And so that's how it works.
Yeah, I just love the idea of giving more choices, more options, more solutions to someone for whatever reason they might need it or might not need it. It's just a great feeling knowing you have something that you can fall back on. That you are not going to get from other institutions. Like my bank doesn't provide that. So I think it's awesome, and I love the approach and the help that you're providing. Thanks for coming on the show, Sergey. It was really fun having you here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks.
My Intrinio guest today is Lauren Mangine. She is a client relations specialist at Intrinio. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks for being here. So what's a client relations specialist? What does that mean? What's your job?
So what I do in a nutshell is I help clients with anything they need. So if they have a question, technical question, anything about onboarding, anything about their account, just reach out to me. We also work on co-marketing initiatives, which is one of the examples in this podcast here, and just really help be a point of contact for customers here.
Wow. So can you give some examples of the kinds of questions that folks get? And you're handling clients after they've signed up with Intrinio, before they need to renew their contract a year from now. You're in that middle section. So what kind of stuff comes up with a client in a fintech business like ours? What are they asking you about?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the time clients are asking a lot of questions about the API, maybe about a data tag, or maybe how to calculate something, maybe about a new data feed that has just been released, or maybe they're adding a new data feed. So any kind of gaps in any of their processes, feel free to reach out to me. And then also if they're maybe launching a new portion of their platform, or if they're doing anything new, then we could also promote that for them just to get a little more traction in the market.
Yeah, not to throw our competitors under the bus, but let's throw them under the bus. So do you think if you didn't have somebody like yourself there to help in that with the client, what's the point of buying a service? Then you spend all your time and your developer's energy trying to figure out how to use that service, right? You're kind of there to make it so that they don't have to waste a lot of time. They've got somebody that can help them actually get the most out of what they're paying for.
Yeah, exactly. And to be completely honest, I'm not the most technical on the team, but I'm always there to help somebody find what they need. So say they ask something really technical about their code. I'm happy to connect them with one of our technical specialists like Aurora, maybe Alec, depending on their kind of question, so that they can really cut out, hours of research or developer time, which we know is really, valuable, and just cut right down to the question, get the answer, and they're able to implement it quickly. So that way they're not fumbling around looking for something or asking 1,000 questions via a ticketing system that takes too long. What's really awesome about our team is our ticketing system is so quick and so easy, and just I really enjoy working on a team where everyone is on it really, really on top of everything.
Yeah, and the customers, I think they appreciate not being ignored and not feeling like their issues are second priority to anybody. They're getting their issues solved fast, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really fun to learn about what clients are working on too. So if they reach out, asking about a few different data tags, then, I can kind of ask what they're working on. And our team has worked with so many different kinds of clients that we usually can help them pretty quickly and in the most effective way too.
Yeah. And so you used to work in sales at Intrinio doing kind of like lead gen, finding customers that wanted to, that needed a data provider, that were looking to build something new. And now you're in this customer support role, building the relationship with them. How's that transition been? Do you find it easier to get clients to talk to you than it was to find new clients? Like how's your messaging changing?
Actually, it's been a little bit similar because, to be honest, I feel like me as a salesperson, I was always very kind of on a customer success, it's kind of like bundled together because I would help them with any questions they had. If they like the product, they can, move forward with it, but I'm not going to follow up a million or just be too pushy or anything like that. I really want to be their point of contact. I want to make sure that I'm here for them throughout the process. So I feel like I did sales and now I'm customer success, but it's kind of all been, working in a startup, you kind of move all around different positions, but it kind of feels like it's all been, like we've all kind of merged into the same position there. I don't know if I said that right,
Yeah.
but
No, that makes sense. It's like, I think in Intrinio, there's kind of like, we're here to help anybody that needs our help in the data space. And either you're getting onboarded through customer success, or you're buying more data because your platform's growing, or you have questions. It's all kind of the same bundling together. And I think it's a sincere approach because the clients, like, we're helping them at the same time we're selling to them. So there's not like, hey, we got your money and now you're off, we don't care about you anymore. It's kind of like this whole process of helping them build whatever they're working on. Do you feel like that's what we're trying to make their lives easier so they can build more tools?
And we've changed a lot too since I've been in a sales role. So now when you're doing the 2-week production level trial, you're actually able to talk to customer success. You're able to file tickets. So, I'm still there during the sales process for you as well. So now that we've kind of grown our team and all kind of really streamlined well, we're able to really help customers all the way through.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's like there really isn't a hard line between our departments at Intrinio. Everybody's working on the same team. Can you talk a little bit about like the kind of information you're trying to collect from our clients? Like, I know you have a survey that you're sending out to customers. You're asking them questions. Like, what kind of information are we trying to collect from them, and then what are we going to do with that information once we get it?
Absolutely. So what I'm focusing on right now is just kind of reaching out to clients, asking them how their experience has been so far, and just really asking for feedback. Maybe it's something that they wish they saw. Maybe it's something that they thought wasn't clearly explained somewhere, or maybe it's just, something they wanted promoted a bit more on their website. So I'm reaching out, asking them just a very quick and easy, how's your experience, 1 to 10? And then they could put feedback in there. So that way, I've actually got quite a few really wonderful, thorough responses from clients so far that have helped us say, okay, this is what clients are, really looking to see. I can let them know what's in our pipeline, what's coming up, and it kind of helps me stay more connected to the clients as well.
I love that. I feel like I always assume I know what clients are thinking and how they think about us, but maybe what I think isn't always how the clients actually see us. Do you find a disconnect between like what we think clients think and how clients actually view us, or do you think we're getting closer into alignment on that?
I think that we're getting closer and closer because we used to not even survey very frequently at all. But now that I'm sending out more surveys, getting more feedback, it's just all been so essential in helping helping our clients because they point out things that we may have not noticed. If they're looking for something on the website that they have to weed through to find, then that's just not a great customer experience. So we make sure to constantly be changing our website, as I'm sure we constantly try to make things better. And even some client says, "Hey, can you do this?" If it's an easy fix, we'll do it right away for them. So that piece of customer feedback is so essential for us, and we really do appreciate when clients reach out to us and give us that feedback.
Yeah, you were talking about dev time and how valuable it is. Like, it's expensive to have developers work on things if it's not directly related to what the clients need. feel like you can waste a lot of time. And with these efforts of asking clients, what features do you like? What don't you like? We can spend not, dev time and also like our customer support time, like really focusing in on helping the clients, not building what we want, building what they want.
Exactly. Yep. It's been a long journey, but since I worked here,
cool.
we've changed the website quite a bit, and I think it looks so much better and so much easier for clients to go through.
Yeah. I feel like it can be frustrating as a company to feel like you have to constantly be adapting and changing. Like, you can't just be one thing forever, and that can be kind of frustrating. But do you find it's kind of also fun and dynamic to change to always be like learning and improving instead of just being like, yeah, this is what we do. We're going to do it this way for 30 years till we go out of business.
That's
like,
why
do you like
I
it?
honestly, I love working at a startup, because when I first started, I was a sales development representative, SDR, and then I was an SDR manager, and then I moved over to customer success. So I've been in 3 positions since I've worked at Intrinio. I've worked a lot on our CRM. We've added a new ticketing system. Well, it's not super new anymore, but we've added so many things. And I think if we stayed the same, it wouldn't be half as fun. And we're always improving. So, I always talk to my friends. I say, what do you do? I learn every day. I learn something new every single day. So, we have, little chats on Slack where we kind of talk about what's happening in the market. Rachel, the CEO, makes wonderful videos that honestly, I learn something every time I watch those. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good feeling to grow and change and not just do the same thing all the time. I think our customers pick up on that. I mean, they keep coming to us looking for that experience that you can't find anywhere else. Can you tell us a little bit about your yarn? I know I can see it back there. Those beautiful, all these beautiful colors. I like people to know a little bit of the story behind, who's helping them. Like, what do you make with all that? What kind of stuff are you building with that yarn?
So usually in Zoom, you could blur out your background. So, didn't have time to move my cabinet, but I crochet. I love to crochet. It's kind of an obsession. I crochet things. I actually have on my desk, like little bees and like chickens.
Oh, I love it.
It's just really fun.
That's so good.
Thank you. And then I, go to different events, markets, and things. It's really fun.
Awesome. Well, I love little animals. I love the yarn, and I love you love the learning. I feel like that's a big part of why I work at Intrinio as well. So thanks so much for coming on the show and letting everybody know a little bit about what customer success and engagement looks like at Intrinio. I really appreciate it, Lauren.
Yeah, I had fun. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey everyone, it's time for your rant in season 3. We're going to see if we can get other people to rant, because I'm sure you're probably getting sick of me just blabbering on about everything or lecturing, as my personal relationships call it lecture mode. But Brianna's going to help me set up, Brianna's our producer and she's awesome, but she's going to help me set up some folks that can rant about topics they're experts in related to financial data in season 3. Thanks to Aurora, who brought that idea to my attention. So season 3 will be coming out this summer. We're going to start launching. This is season 2 that you're listening to now. We'll be coming out in the spring of 2022. But you have that to look forward to. But for right now, I'm going to talk about 2 different topics for my rant today. I'll try to keep them short so that you can stay engaged. I know people have shorter attention spans than they used to. But it's Data Privacy Week, and so I'm going to just talk real briefly about Intrinio's experience with phishing, because not like the fish kind of phishing, but like the attacks you get. Because I could also talk about phishing. Love to fish. But we're going to talk about the security type of phishing. So I know personally some relationships of friends that own companies and have had ransomware attacks against them or against other companies in their network. It's very popular now. And I get phishing attacks daily. And we have 20, 30 employees who are also getting phishing attacks daily. So this is like something I would rather not deal with. It's more like data security than data privacy. But how do we deal with it? Well, I kind of have to remind everyone to trust no one. This is something that I remind our staff about on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, is that these things are coming in so frequently and they're getting better and better. A common one that we get is someone will send an email that looks like it's from our CEO to one of our staff members asking for information or asking them to change their password or something like that. It's happening so often that rather than kind of like your default being, I'm not being phished, I think what we're trying to get our staff to do is just recognize that you're going to get phishing attacks every single day. And so you have to be aware of that and vigilant. And we've used software that sends fake phishing attacks. And I find this to be like the best way to deal with this problem is that you have to send lots of fake phishing attacks. This is the best solution I've got, and I highly recommend it to anybody who, I guess, outside of like a independent, woodworking shop where you don't have any digital infrastructure. If you have any digital infrastructure at all, you need to set up something that sends fake phishing attacks to your team as a training mechanism to lower their threshold of trust, unfortunately. So the way this works, and it has worked for us, is you set up this app, you integrate it into your email system, and it sends out kind of fake phishing attacks that try to get people to click on the links in the phishing email. And that way you're going to be able to detect the folks at your company who are a little too nice, a little too trusting, and end up clicking these links. And we usually get, a percentage of our staff will click them, but as you send more and more of these training attacks, fewer and fewer people are clicking over time, and you can train everyone. And then it serves as a way to privately shame people who click the links, and to give them some targeted training, and myself included, because it's not necessarily very easy to know what's real and what's not. But with these training programs are worth paying for, and some of them are free, but we pay for them. They're worth using because they are going to inoculate your team against phishing attacks. So that's your privacy rant. We love the software that sends these fake phishing emails. And if you haven't set it up, just do it. It's like due diligence, especially if you're in a leadership position at your company. You can, if you do get attacked and ransomware and stuff, you can at least say you were proactively doing something about it. So the other thing I want to talk about today is contracting for financial data. My sales team asks me about this a lot because people are hesitant to commit, and their data projects when they're adding new data sets often tend to be in the future. So our business at Intrinio is selling financial data, and we help with licensing and cleaning and all this algorithmic stuff on the back end for our different data sets. You can check out our website, intrinio.com, about it. But when you're buying financial data, it's a little different than like just going to buy a normal product that you're like, I need it in 2 days. I'll get it on Amazon Prime. It'll be here in 2 days. This is a more complex product. So usually when you buy data, you need to test the data, and most companies will give you a sample file or some like a data schema that shows what the fields look like, what you can expect from the data, and you need to test it, because even two fundamentals data sets, the exact same standardized fundamentals data set from two different companies, will be very different. So you're not going to know ahead of time if it's going to work for you. Same thing with the real-time integration, or any kind of financial data that your company might need. You need to test it. And so Intrinio builds in a free testing period. And then then even after you test the data, you're going to have an integration period, and where your team is building a data pipeline into that data and connecting it to your systems on the back end. And that can take months of testing and pulling in history and updates. And if you don't have a development window that's at least a month or more, even a quarter long, you really don't have enough time to build trust in that data set that it's going to update, there aren't going to be data quality problems, or that you know how to talk to the data provider about data quality problems when they come in. Do you know how to file a ticket? Do you know how to create an alert? These types of things. So buying data is going to require at least a week of testing to know at a bare minimum, could this work for us? And then it's going to require at least a month or more of development time. And I would recommend at least a quarter to be pulling that data in before you push it to production, before your website goes live, before you replace a data set with another data set, before you make investment decisions off of that data set. If you don't have it integrated and into your systems for a significant period, it's kind of the same as what I was talking about earlier with doing your due diligence and checking your team for phishing attacks. You should be pulling in a data set for at least a quarter before you start relying on it, building production systems off of it. So why does this involve my sales team? Well, they are reaching out to clients and inbound prospects and people in our CRM system and talking to them about data projects they have coming up in the future. And a very frequent thing, I'm sure if you run sales teams, is we don't need this data until 2 quarters from now, or 9 months from now, next year, whatever it may be. Well, that isn't actually that far away in the realm of data buying. Like if you're buying a cheeseburger, you can get it in 15 minutes and you don't really have to think about it. But if you don't build in at least 3 months before you're ready to use this data in production, you're kind of just being a little too trusting, same as myself or any of our staff who click on these phishing links and say, oh, maybe I should update my HR password. Like, you don't know if that financial data is going to work for you until you've tested it and integrated it and spent a few months seeing how reliable it is. So that brings us back to contracting. So when you go to buy financial data for whatever it is you're building, trading application or a predictive algorithm for a hedge fund, anything like that, individual investor, retail investor trading platform or research platform, you need to know who your data source is going to be more than 3 months before you need that data at a bare minimum. Probably 6 months would be better. And so we structure our contracts to reflect that with a free trial. Test the data, look at the data fields, what data is there, how does it look? You have to commit testing resources to that. And so what we do is, since you're committing to test, we give it to you for free. That's our commitment, to provide that data. There's server costs, there's our staff costs to let you test it for a certain period. And then you're going to need a development window of at least 3 months where you're not using that data in production, but you're pulling it in and just testing the pudding to see if the proof is in the pudding. Is this working? Is it updating? Are we running into problems? Does this data provider go down? And so in that 3 month window, what Intrinio does is we provide a pretty hefty, what we call development discount, usually about 50% off, because you're not actually using that in production. But we have costs, we're supporting you. We have server costs. The data is valuable for testing purposes in that 3 month window. And then when you're ready to go live, at least 3 months, maybe more in the future, then we switch you over to a production contract. And at that point, we switch to, we always switch to an annual commitment once you go to production. And that means that you can cancel during your development window without paying more than the monthly fee that you were paying while you're bringing that data in and not using it for production. Cancel. It's low risk. You don't like it. Something's wrong. You don't trust it. Cancel it. But once you get to ready to launch for production, we ask you to commit to a year. That seems scary. Like, why lock someone in? Well, the reason for that is that if you don't lock in a yearly commitment on that contract, then your business is at risk. And we don't want you to have a data source that you're going to rely on in production be at the mercy of a data provider, even us. We are very consistent, but we raise prices, things change, we change data sets. Anybody who's locked into a yearly commitment for us, though, they're safe during the window of that of that commitment. We aren't going to change the data, underlying data. We aren't going to change their price. You're committing to us, we're committing to you. But don't buy data that the data provider isn't willing to commit to you. You don't want to be in that situation. And I'll just give an analogy before I wrap things up here. If you're a restaurant owner and you're going to open a restaurant at a location, you don't want a month-to-month rent commitment on that restaurant location. Why? Because you're going to invest a lot of time and money in setting that location up, teaching your customers what that to come in, what they can expect from your menu. If your landlord that you're renting your restaurant location from says after you've been in business at that location for 3-4 months, hey, we're canceling your rental agreement. Sorry, you're gonna have to move your restaurant. You are toast. You're good pun for a restaurant, but you're gonna have to move locations, start from scratch, go through that whole process all over again. It's the same with data. You're going to build your application, whatever it may be, using that data source. If the data provider is going to change things on you, like the price, this is very common to see people jack prices up like 5-10 times once you start using the data and you're hooked on it. If you don't get a commitment from that data provider, the users and the use cases that you're using that data for aren't going to be able to rely on that data, and you're going to be just as toast. So we set up our contracts following this process: free trial, monthly commitment at a discounted price, annual commitment when you're ready to go to production. And we do that because that is the best thing for the client. You need to test the data. You don't know what's in there, what the fields are. At a bare minimum, you should have some free testing. And then you should have a discounted dev period so that you can integrate that data, build trust with the provider and the data set that it is going to be consistent and it'll work for you. And then when you're ready to start relying on that data in production, your app is going live, you're displacing a data set, then you should want a commitment from the data provider so that they don't yank your lease out from under you, double your price, make you move data providers, and you lose all that momentum or whatever that data set was being used for. So we are thinking ahead when it comes to financial data, at least 3 months, maybe longer. So when you're out there looking for a data source, for whatever data your business needs, whether it's financial data or something else, because everybody needs this, be proactive. Let that salesperson help you lay out a timeline that is 3 to 6 months in the future and commit to those testing windows and that long-term contract. The end.